Hello everyone, I'm Dr. Devi R. I'm a gynecologist and an infertility specialist from Milan, Indiranagar branch, Bengaluru. And today we are going to talk about the topic how to increase your chances of conceiving or getting pregnant naturally. So, thanks a lot for all of you who have joined today. Please type your comments in the text box below. We'll try to take up as many questions as possible. So, let's get to the topic. Nowadays, because it is COVID and so many of you are having work from home options, so many of my patients are planning a natural pregnancy. And they ask so many questions about the do's and the don'ts and all what not. So this is a humble attempt to clear all those doubts. So please participate in numbers. So let's get to the topic in hand. Before planning for a pregnancy, many patients ask, Doctor, should we go for a pre-pregnancy checkup? So what is a pre-pregnancy checkup? Should we go for it? I would say yes, you must go for the pre-pregnancy checkup. Why? Because because of two things. One, we will be able to see you and tell you if you have any medical conditions which will make it difficult for you to conceive in the first place. And if it becomes more in pregnancy, then that's going to be a problem. So we correct these things, make you fully all right, and then we plan a pregnancy. Then there is always a better chance of becoming pregnant and carrying this pregnancy till term without any problems and delivering a healthy baby. The second reason why we advise a pre-pregnancy checkup is because many couples, they after marriage, they would want to postpone their pregnancy for 1 year or 2 years and so on. So we see and we tell you, if you postpone pregnancy or childbearing, will it affect your chances of getting pregnant in the future? Is it okay to delay? That is something which we tell you in this checkup. So what do we do in this pre-pregnancy checkup? We take a detailed history from you, ask about all your ailments and see if there is anything abnormal there. We correct and then go ahead. We do a detailed body checkup by examining you. Sometimes we do a scan also. We see your weight and see if the weight is ideal or not. So what is the ideal weight to conceive? You see your height in centimeters and subtract 100 from that. So that is your ideal weight. For example, if your height is 165 centimeters, you subtract 100, 65 is your ideal weight. Similarly, if your height is 173 centimeters, 73 is your ideal weight to conceive. Why is it important to make this right and then try for a pregnancy? If you are on the higher side of body weight, then your chances of conceiving also comes down. Even when you're pregnant, there are more chances of miscarriage, pregnancy complications like high BP during pregnancy, sugar during pregnancy, baby's birth weight becoming more or less, preterm labor, delivering much before date. All these complications can be avoided if you regularize your weight before planning a pregnancy. Now, during this pre-pregnancy checkup, we also check and advise you regarding the vaccinations which you should be taking before trying for a pregnancy. For example, the rubella vaccine, the cervical cancer vaccine, all these vaccines will be advised for. And then we also start certain tablets like folic acid tablets for you, which actually helps in reducing the incidences of brain abnormalities in the baby. Then once all this is done, we clear all your doubts about your exercise, your diet. So we give you a dietary advice and the lifestyle modification if required, and then we send you home for you to try. So let's get to that. What all can you eat when you are trying to get pregnant? What all you should not eat? I would say you please take a balanced diet when you're trying for a pregnancy. That's all you need. What is a balanced diet? It should contain adequate amounts of carbohydrates, proteins, and good fats. When I say carbohydrates, there are two types of carbohydrates. One is a simple carbohydrate which gets digested very fast. For example, rice, wheat, or maida, rava, everything is simple carbohydrate. We don't need lots of simple carbohydrates for us. the amount of the simple carbohydrates which you are taking should be the bare minimum. So we will feel hungry. What will we do? We should increase the amount of complex carbohydrates in our diet, which comes in vegetables and fruits. So what all vegetables should you be taking? Go for the vegetables which are available in your local market. Go for the colored ones. So whatever is available in your local market, the colored ones you take in plenty. And don't boil and take them. You take it in a good form which is tasty. Make a paneer with it. Make a sabji with it. Or make a curry with it. Make a sambar. Whatever you wish, whatever you like. Let it be tasty. So in your plate, only a small portion should be a simple carbohydrate. The major portion should be a complex carbohydrate in the form of fruits or vegetables. And every meal should have a handful of proteins. So when I say proteins, what are they? If you are a vegetarian, you can go for any of the simple proteins like dals, moong, soya, anything which is available. You can have 1 egg a day. It is good for you. It is not bad. You can have 1 egg a day if you're a non-vegetarian. If you want to eat fish, you make a curry out of fish and you eat it even every day. That's fine. Coming to meat, try to cut down the red meat intake to at least once in a week. And chicken is a lean meat, but unfortunately the chicken which is available these days has lots of hormones injected. Sorry to say. So if you have an option to get a variety of chicken which is which has less hormones, then go for it. Otherwise, just once in a week is what you should be sticking on to. Now, can you drink alcohol when you're trying to get pregnant? I would say no, because you don't know when you're going to conceive. If you're taking alcohol in your pregnancy, it may affect your child's health. So please stop drinking alcohol when you try for pregnancy. What about smoking? Smoking is a complete no-no when you're trying for a pregnancy, because it may affect your chances of getting pregnant. It may even affect the baby's health in the form of it can cause miscarriages. It can again cause high BP. It can cause low birth weight of the baby, delivering before term. All that is possible and whatnot. So please don't smoke when you are trying for a pregnancy. So these are the general things when it comes to the do's and the don'ts. Now, if you move on to how to increase the chances of conceiving, we should be concentrating on trying or having intercourse close to our ovulation date. So let us learn a little bit about ovulation. So this is the female's genital tract. This is the uterus. There is one tube on one side, another tube on one side. There is one ovary each on each side. This is the mouth of the uterus called the cervix, and this is the vagina. So every month in a female who is having a regular a regular period, one egg will be released from one of the sides every month. This will be picked up by the tube, and it stays in the tube for 24 hours. When you have intercourse, the semen gets deposited in the vagina here, and the sperm swims all the way till here, reaches the tube, and the tube is where the fertilization, the fusing of the egg and the sperm happens. The embryo thus formed travels all the way back through this tube and gets attached to the lining of the uterus and grows as a baby. So when I say when you have regular periods, that means that month you have ovulated. What does it mean? When you ovulate, from these ovaries, lots of hormones like estrogen and progesterone is released into your body. What do they do? This estrogen and progesterone help build the lining of your uterus. This is called endometrium. So the endometrium builds, and if a pregnancy happens, no bleeding. If the pregnancy doesn't happen, the uterus weeps by bleeding. This is menstruation. So if you are getting a regular period any day between 25 to 26 days to 30 to 35 days, then that means you have had an ovulation in that month. So why is this important? If we have intercourse every alternate day in and around your ovulation period, you have a very good chance of conceiving. So many people ask, should it be everyday intercourse or should it be alternate days? So this egg has a lifespan of 24 hours and the sperm has a lifespan of 48 hours roughly. So even if you have alternate day intercourse, that is enough. If you want to have every day, that's also fine, but alternate day is good enough for you to have a good chance at pregnancy. Now, how do you calculate your ovulation? How do you track your ovulation dates? There are several methods of doing it. The easiest way is called the calendar method. So what will you do in this? Suppose you got your periods on the 1st of a month. This is the day 1 of your cycle. Suppose if you got it on the 2nd, it is the day 1 of, 2nd is the day 1 of your cycle. So see the day 1 of your cycle. Suppose if you will get your next period on 31st. Your cycle length is starting from the first day of your periods to the day before the next period. So in this one, the cycle length is 30 days. You don't count from here to look at your best day. You count backwards from the next expected period. You so see when your next period is expected. In this case, the next period is expected on the 31st. Count back 14 days from this day and you will reach 16th. 16th is the most likely day for your ovulation to happen. So take 4 days prior and 4 days after. So any time between your 10th day to any time after this 19th to 20th day, if you have intercourse on every alternate day, you have a very good chance of conceiving. If to make things simpler, if you just try on alternate days from your 9th to 10th day to your 18th day, roughly in that way, every alternate day intercourse gives you a good chance of conceiving. There are several other methods also. There is something called cervical mucus method. So after your periods is over, you will see that the vaginal discharge becomes quite good in amount, copious, and it becomes very clear, thin. It looks exactly like egg white. And if you try to draw it between your fingers like this, you can draw long threads without breaking. So this cervical mucus tells that you are in your fertile period. When you see this, start trying every alternate day. And once the ovulation has happened, this changes in nature, the fluid. It becomes more thick, it becomes more viscid, yellowish, and when you try to do this, this breaks. So when you see that this breaks, your fertile period is kind of over. So you can stop your try. Now, several people get symptoms of ovulation like lower abdominal pain, a tenderness in the breast, little bit spotting, heaviness in the lower abdomen. All these are good signs which are telling us that there is a chance of ovulation happening soon. So you start your trial at that time. So these are the simple methods by which you can track your ovulation. Now there is something else called basal body temperature. What is it? Basal body temperature is our body's temperature at a resting state immediately after we wake up, before we get out of the bed. So when ovulation happens, a hormone called progesterone is released into our body. Progesterone hormone rises our body's temperature by 0.5 degree Fahrenheit. So when does this happen? When after the ovulation has happened, in another 3-4 days, this rise starts and it stays like that. So I'll show you a graph. It's something like this. So this is the whole of your menstrual cycle. So at the beginning of which your body temperature will be somewhere between 97 to 98 degree Fahrenheit here. Once the ovulation has happened here, after 3-4 days, it rises by 0.4 to 0.8 degree Fahrenheit. On an average, you can say 0.5 degree Fahrenheit, and it stays elevated. If you are pregnant, it stays elevated. If you are not pregnant, it comes down. You will see that the temperature comes down just on the day of your next period or a day prior to your period. Now, how should you be measuring this? What all do you need to do this? You need a glass or a good digital thermometer, a pen and a paper like this. That's all you need. But this is very commonly practiced in Western countries and all, and there are several mobile apps available which will calculate this for you. So you can use that also. What you should be doing is, as soon as you get up in the morning, don't even get out of the bed. You should check your temperature in your mouth or in your axilla and then note it down. And you either draw it or use an app to calculate this. So when you do this, look for the rise like this. The 7 days prior to this rise are the most important, most fertile days in your cycle. So how can this help in this month? Because it's a retrospective thing. How will you do this? You have to monitor this for 2 to 3 months. And you have to see when is the earliest day you have got this rise in temperature. Suppose if it is on the 15th day. You should also see when you have got the latest rise in this temperature. Say it is on the 18th day. So 15 and 18. Take 7 days prior to the earliest day of your rise. So it becomes day 8. So day 8 to the day of your latest rise of temperature. So day 8 to day 18, trying every alternate day helps this particular person to conceive. That is what it is. It means. Now, there are a few drawbacks to this method. What are they? If you have an irregular sleep pattern, if you don't sleep at roughly the same time every day, someday on a day you will sleep at 12 o'clock, on a day you sleep at 7, this is not going to work for you. If you have irregular cycles, then again, this is not going to work for you. If you are on some medications, you have too much of a stress, then yes, this method is not the good one for you. And simply if you just feel that this is too stressful, don't go for it. There are simpler methods of doing it. That is by ovulation detection kit or LH kit. Now, what is it? LH is a hormone which is produced in our body which helps us ovulate. So the level of LH hormone, which I am showing here, this is the LH hormone's levels. It rises and peaks, surges in our body just 24 to 48 hours prior to ovulation, like this. So if this is the ovulation, here it peaks 24 to 48 hours prior, and then it comes down. So when it peaks like that in our body, it comes to the blood also, it comes to the urine also. You can use a urine test kit, like a pregnancy test kit but it is available in different names. Like a pregnancy test kit, there is an LH search kit also available. That kit detects the LH hormone in the urine. So how should you be doing it? Again, you should calculate your cycle length. So suppose if your cycle length is 30 days, you subtract 18 days from this. It becomes 12. From your 12th day, you have to test this in the kit, urine in the kit every day. So when should you test it? You can test it at any time from 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. But the ideal time to test it is from 12 noon to 2 p.m. And the urine should be a little bit concentrated. So don't drink too much of water just before going for this test, an hour prior to going for this test. Now, the kit will look something like this. You put 3 drops of urine into this column and you should see 2 bright pink lines like this. The 2 bright pink lines means this is a positive test. There is every chance you may ovulate in the next 2 days. Once you see this, the next 2 days are the most important days for you to try. If you ask me which is the most important day to try, I would say the next day after seeing this. But if you see something like this, one line dark and one line light pink, this is not positive. Only one line dark is again not positive. Only 2 bright pink lines is the positive one. The next 2 days are the most important days. But the disadvantage of doing this is that you have to check this every day and you have to check this every subsequent month also. 1 month is not going to tell us that it's going to be like this the next month. So that is the disadvantage of doing this. Suppose if you can't do this also, you can come to us for a scan called follicular monitoring, where we actually do transvaginal ultrasound scans and see that a follicle is growing. And if it has reached a correct size, we will tell you that this is the right time to try. We don't give you any medicines in this, but you try on your own with the help of our scans. For this, you will have to come on the 2nd or 3rd day of your periods. Again, we will call you another 10 days later and maybe one more time. So 2-3 scans are required for this, but it gives a good chance of pregnancy. These are roughly the methods by which you can track your ovulation. How long should you be trying for this using these methods? I would say try for a period of 1 year. If your periods are regular, try for a period of 1 year, and if you're not conceiving, please visit a fertility specialist. There are certain scenarios where you should not be waiting for 1 year to do this. These are if your age is more than 35, if you have irregular cycles, if you have other conditions like polycystic ovaries, endometriosis, you've had surgeries for your tummy, you've had history of infections, tuberculosis, etc. Any of these are there, you should not be waiting for 1 year to meet a doctor. Meet a doctor much earlier. If you are more than 35, try for 6 months only, and if you have not conceived, meet a doctor. So I hope the information which I tried to pass on has been helpful to all of you. Thank you all for listening. So if you have any queries, please note it down in the comments box. We will be happy to help you. Thank you.